Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Found Frequency Podcast, your space for that alignment, expansion, and of course, unstoppable energy. I am your host, Fallon, and mindset mentor, and I am so excited to have you here. Now, it has been a very busy, few weeks for me, but a very busy and beautiful week down here in La Ventana, Mexico, and I'm honestly just so fucking grateful, so happy to be back in Mexico. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really not sure how I would have handled a full-on Washington winter this year, and thankfully I don't even have to think about that anymore. So I actually just finished, hopefully it's not too windy for you guys. I just got back from a downwinder, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically me attempting to wing foil from one beach to another. So equal parts, I would say, adrenaline, definitely very present, and pure joy. It was a lot of fun and really a beautiful reminder how alive life gets to be when you're fully in your body and present and in nature, obviously. And also other exciting things happening this week. Today is officially day 3 inside my epic 8-day Telegram experience, Lit from Within. We really do have the most incredible women in that space, and I'm absolutely loving the energy and the honesty and all the breakthroughs already coming through only on day 3. Very powerful. So if that's something that's kind of got your interest, the portal is definitely still open. And if you're not in there and you are just feeling really disconnected from yourself, maybe even stuck in your head or caught in that self-doubt loop that we all know too well, I highly suggest that you jump in there and take advantage of this space. It's only $11 to join, and I wrap everything up on the 22nd, and I would genuinely love to have you in there. You can just shoot me a DM or send me the word spark, and I will send you a link to join. Can't wait to see you. And in honor of that beautiful space, I thought today's episode, it would be really nice to give you a little bit of a taste of day 2, a little taste of these rewires and really my activations and kind of what I fucking love doing. Because I do know how sneaky self-doubt can be. I do this stuff on the daily. I live and breathe this work, and I definitely still, maybe not so much anymore, experience it, but I catch myself still. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys day 2, and I hope you enjoy. I'll catch you next week. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to day 2. I am so excited to light you up. We're going to take it a layer deeper. I'm really excited that, yesterday it resonated with a few of you, touching on those things, because that's just step 1, right? We're going to be present. We're going to get ourselves off autopilot. I wanted you to wake up to the truth that you haven't been lazy or broken or behind or failing or all these things that, the outside tells us. You've just been disconnected from yourself. And that matters because you can't change a life that you're not fully present inside of. In saying that, I am sitting by the ocean or the Sea of Cortez right now. So if it's too loud, you guys let me know with the waves crashing. I just thought it would be really pleasant, a really nice background to send you this little voice activator. Okay, so let's go ahead and take things a layer deeper today. If you want your power back, if you want your clarity back, if you are just so fucking tired of feeling like you're constantly second guessing yourself, we of course have to talk about the self-doubt loop. And not the obvious self-doubt loop, like I'm insecure sometimes, because honestly, who isn't, right? We're having this human experience. But I'm talking about the quiet one playing in the background, the one that's kind of in the background of your life so consistently that you don't even question it anymore. It's kind of one of those things where this is like overthinking decisions that you already know the answer to, or asking everyone else what they think before checking in with yourself first, or even replaying conversations in your head, that loop in your head, feeling like you don't trust your intuition and constantly wondering if you're doing it right. Like, am I on the right path? That those questions, I used to do this all the time. I used to ask the universe, like, can I have a sign that I'm doing the right thing? Because, maybe in the external reality, things weren't showing up yet. But the truth that, a lot of us didn't want to hear and probably need to is you cannot come back into your power while you're still outsourcing your knowing. You can't lead your life while you're asking for permission at every turn. And the reason you do this is not even because you're unsure. And it's certainly not because you're incapable. And it's not because something's wrong with you. It's because somewhere along the way, you were taught not to trust yourself. Self-doubt is not a personality trait. It's not your intuition being broken. That's not even a real thing, no matter how many times you might have told yourself it is. Everyone has an intuition. And it's definitely not proof that you're bad at decisions, okay? Self-doubt is actually a learned identity. You learned it by being questioned, by being corrected, by being talked out of what felt right, by being rewarded for logic over instinct. And yes, my loves, once you see this, you can't unsee it. Because today we're going to start loosening that grip, right? When you learn how to tune in and actually listen, not to the noise, certainly not to the fear and not to the conditioning, but to the part of you that already knows, your entire life starts to move differently. This is when decisions get really clean, right? This is when your energy's going in that forward one direction, so it steadies. This is when your confidence stops wobbling. It no longer becomes this self-doubt loop that you're like, is this the right move? Should I do this? You just feel it and and you stop spinning in your head and you lead from your body, right? So I want you to pause for a second here. Not to really calm down and not to fix anything, but just to arrive. I spoke quite in depth yesterday about being present, about getting out of the numbness, about not being on autopilot. We've all do it. We have to intentionally choose, right, to be in a place. We have to intentionally show up in a certain way. And that's just how things are going to be moving forward. This work is ongoing forever, but it becomes more automatic. Just like autopilot was automatic for you, this work becomes automatic, I want you to hear this very clearly though, okay? None of this is going to be bashing you, right? There is nothing wrong with you. I'm just trying to wake you up to certain patterns, certain habits, certain things that have been running in a loop in your life. Because we can't undo it if we can't see it. Overthinking does not mean you're weak. It second guessing does not mean you're incapable, and doubting yourself does not mean you're not intuitive. It means that your nervous system has learned that thinking was safer than feeling. And today, we're not fixing you, we're freeing you of that, okay? So I want to detox this self-loop together. Let's jump in. Now, like I said, self-doubt does not come out of nowhere. It is actually built. And once you see how, everything will start to fall into place and start to make sense. So I'm going to explain this the best I can in the most simple of terms. But let's say, for example, you've had this bright idea, something that came to you out of nowhere. It felt super exciting and super expansive. And it was like this feeling of like, fuck yeah, this is it. Now, this could be, a business, or it could be in your own career or in business. It can be in your relationship. It can be in life. It doesn't matter, but it was a ping. It was this moment where something dropped in and it lit your entire body up. I like to look at it as like this little energetic lightning bolt, right? And once you share it with someone, well, you decide, okay, this is what happens. You get the ping, you get this lightning bolt, the excitement runs through your veins, and you're so fucking excited and you share it with someone, right? Not because you even needed permission. At this point, you're just so fucking full of energy, but you're excited about it, so you wanted to share it. Now, instead of curiosity or support, these people, whoever you decide to share it with, whether it be your partner, your friends, your family, whoever, kind of start to let's say infuse you with these thoughts of like, well, shit, that sounds a little bit cray, girl. Have you thought about this? Or that probably won't work. Or even something simple like that seems super risky. Or out of their own protection, they might be like, what if you fail? So in that very moment, something very subtle is happening. This internal nudge, this electric lightning bolt that you had, this knowing softens, kind of loses a little bit of its potency, because you're now looking at your idea not through your lens anymore. You're looking at your idea through the lens of somebody else. You're looking at it through their conditioning, through their fears, through their limits and their lived experience. And because at the time you haven't fully strengthened the self-trust muscle yet, you agree, right? This is where you start to mute yourself. This is where you kind of start backpedaling a bit. And also you don't follow through, and that's the moment right there. That is where this self-doubt kind of starts to be born. It's not because you were wrong, but because you overrode yourself. And it doesn't just happen once, right? It happens pretty slowly, but it happens frequently. It's kind of built where any time in your life, whether that be when you were younger or throughout your life, when your emotions were dismissed, right? I was a super sensitive little girl, and I 100% remembering dismissing my emotions a lot, because it was like, oh no, I'm just a girl and I'm too sensitive. And I really got way too far in my masculine at one point. But this is also, when you're questioning your own intuition, right? This is when the excitement is being shut down. Like you just had this electric lightning bolt hit you and somebody kind of poo-pooed it, right? It's like you learned it was safer to be logical than to be led. You learn to look outside of yourself for answers. So your system adapts to that, right? It's going to learn by default, by what you're doing. It's like, if I think everything through, I won't get hurt. Or if I go ahead and doubt myself first, rejection's not going to sting as much. Or, if I ask others and I get their opinions and I get them to back me, I won't be blamed, right? Overthinking becomes a protection strategy, not at all because it's true, but because it once kept you safe. It's the same reason, perfect example, that someone would avoid dating after being hurt. Ladies, I was single for many, many years, and I 100% know exactly why. It was 100% a protection mechanism. But in protecting myself from what I made up in my mind as pain, I was also protecting myself from feeling fully, from, experiencing intimacy, from experiencing depth, from living the full embodied life I was meant to live. And listen, I am not saying following your intuition is only going to lead you down easy paths. It does not. Okay, that's not how this works. It will absolutely lead you into uncomfortable territory. It will lead you into growth and into edges that stretch you. But that's where expansion lives. It's like refusing to get on an airplane because you were afraid to fly, while completely missing out on new countries and new cultures and new perspectives. That is why we're here, not to play small and safe forever, but to actually experience life and experience it fully. So if you have been overthinking and hesitating and holding yourself back, it does not mean you're broken. It means your nervous system has learned to protect you. It's put you in this protective personality. And today we're going to start teaching it something new, because that is what it's all about. Now, this part here is key. Okay, I really want you to pay attention and listen to me here. I go off on tangents, and I know I talk a lot, but it's just my style. Most women, I've had these conversations before where they think they can't actually hear their intuition. And that is not what's actually happening here. What's happening is you're trying to hear your intuition with your mind. One of my favorite quotes of all time, and I come back to this again and again, it's attributed to Albert Einstein, but he basically says, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. I want to reread that because I fucking love it, and this goes back to everything is energy, right? But the intuitive mind, okay, what we're talking about today, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. And the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Basically, that is saying we live in a world that worships the mind, that worships logic and proof and analysis and data and thinking harder. And don't get me wrong here, knowledge is very powerful. Education 100% matters. The mind is an incredible tool, but it was never meant to lead, okay? It was meant to serve something much bigger. Your intuition isn't random. It's not even imagination. It's not wishful thinking. It's you tapping into universal intelligence, something far more vast, far more expansive than your limited, conditioned thinking mind can do. And if you're still, sitting here thinking like, Fallon, like, come on, man, I hear you, but like, it's just not, I'm not an intuitive person. I'm going to make this ridiculously simple for you. Have you ever been in a conversation where you just kind of suddenly go blank? You're chatting on the phone or you're chatting to your partner, whoever. And it's like, you had something to say. You had it kind of in the back of your mind. You're ready to say it. You can kind of feel it hovering and you really try really hard to think of it. But like nothing's coming out. You're like, oh, flop. Like I have no idea where my mind went. And you try to force it, you push it, you strain, and you're just like, fuck it. Like it's gone. I have no idea what I was going to say. So you give up on it, right? You kind of let it go. And then let's say, a couple hours go by. Maybe you're in the shower or you're cooking dinner, or you're on a walk outside and fucking bam, there it is. It's clear and it's perfect and it's effortless. Okay. That's an example of intuition. It didn't disappear. It didn't fail you. It didn't, it suddenly showed up later. It's arriving the moment you stop forcing, because intuition does not respond to pressure. It responds to presence. Again, bringing it back to the presence. We have to be present in our lives. When we're overthinking, we're not physically present, right? We're tight and we're urgent and we're pressurized and we're loud. It's that, again, full of being in the shoulds and the must-dos. Like I have to figure it out energy, and that's not going to allow intuition to drop in. Intuition is a very calm, neutral, steady, grounded feeling. It doesn't shout at you or rush you or convince you, For me, honestly, when I feel most lit up, most on purpose, most embodied is when I'm moving from alignment instead of effort. And that's when intuition really starts to get loud and clear for me. I like to even reflect. If I feel like I'm forcing something, if I feel like it's only effort, I'm not in the right state of mind. I'm not in my intuition. Why? Because I'm acting. Okay, so intuition gets loud and clear when I'm in alignment because I'm acting from an energetic state of it is already done. This is very important, especially if you're running your own business. You have to be in this energetic state of it is done. So we're not chasing the clarity. We're not trying to find answers like, why is it not happening yet? And we're not trying to access our intuition. You have to be in the state where intuition lives. You understand? You have to already be in that energetic state, and that's where intuition is going to be loud and clear. And this is what we're building all this week. I'm not teaching you how to find your intuition. I'm teaching you how to be the version of you that hears it naturally. Because before you can act intuitively, you do have to reconnect. You have to untangle the mess in your mind, and you have to see where you even disconnected in the first place. The first few days here are really about clearing this noise, clearing this conditioning and these survival patterns and these looping thoughts and these old identities that are not serving your highest good. So intuition can then return to its rightful place. And the final truth that I really want you to anchor into is, just this concept. When your mind is too loud, obviously your intuition's going to feel quiet, but it doesn't mean it disappeared. It's because it's no longer the dominant state you're living from. And that is what we're changing. You're going to hear this throughout this week about learning to be in a higher frequency as your dominant state. Right now, our dominant state's probably in a bit of autopilot, bit disconnected, a bit like still waiting for the thing to happen. You're still in a lack without even realizing it versus operating from a state of it is already done, and this is where things are really going to start to click. Self-doubt is not just a thought pattern, right? It's not just something that pops in your head every now and then. It has been an identity that you've been living from. And it's an identity that runs quietly in the background. It's going to be running your decisions, but it's going to be running your energy and your confidence. If you're somebody that says things like, I'm bad at decisions, or I just, this is my personality, right? I always second guess myself, or I do not trust my intuition. I need reinsurance before I move. The thing is, every time you say that, every time you repeat these stories, or even casually just jokingly say something like that, guess what? You are reinforcing that identity. Not because it's true, but simply because it's familiar. Your nervous system doesn't choose what's best for you. It chooses what it knows. Familiar feels safe, even if it is like the worst path for you. Even when familiar keeps you stuck, guess what? It is safe, it is what you know, and it'll try to stay there unless you recognize what's happening. So if you have been living in this self-doubt for years, your body has learned, this is who I am. This is how we survive. This is how I stay accepted. This is just part of me. Which means when clarity does try to come through, your system doesn't feel like it's safe. So when your intuition is coming through, right, when these little pings of electric bolts are coming through, your system is going to recognize this as a no. This is not safe. Do not pass go. Do not go down this path. Okay? Because it recognizes it as something that is unknown. It's unfamiliar. It doesn't have a reference point. It can't figure out where this came from. And the unknown feels threatening to a nervous system that's been trained to stay small. Okay? So this is the reframe that is going to change everything here. You cannot think your way into clarity. You never have and you never will. Clarity itself is not a mental achievement. It's not something you earn by analyzing harder or researching more or replaying the same decision for the 100th fucking time. Clarity is going to come from a nervous system state, right? When your body feels safe, decisions will feel simpler. Your yes and your no get cleaner. Your intuition can be accessed because, again, we are operating from a new dominant frequency. We are operating from it is done. You stop outsourcing your power. And that is why the answers arrive, when you're relaxed, when you're in the shower, on a walk, when you're not even trying. The moment you stop forcing, you stop going pressurized up against something, this is when things drop in, just like that conversation I talked about a bit, before, that shower moment. Intuition is not going to respond to pressure. You can't be like, come on, intuition, drop in, let's fucking go. I'm ready to hear you, right? It's more like when you're regulated and it's time, stillness, presence, safety, and it drops in. When your body feels safe enough to lead, clarity is going to start to become more inevitable. So today, we're going to anchor into this new identity. It's not something that you even chant or force yourself to believe, but I want you to practice this truth. I am a woman who trusts her knowing. I am a woman who trusts her knowing. I don't want you to judge what comes up when you even say these things to yourself. If resistance shows up during this, perfect, right? If emotions show up, great. If nothing shows up, also perfect. This is not about positive thinking at all. This is about learning to become the gentle observer in your life. This is not about fixing or judging or rushing yourself to be different. Just pure awareness, because awareness is the doorway. And once you're aware, you can choose differently. We always have a choice. We always have a choice on what thought we want to support, okay? These thoughts, what is this? Thoughts are options, not facts. One of my favorite things to say, because you always fucking have a choice and you can choose differently, but we cannot choose differently if we're not aware of the thoughts going on in our head. So I want you to anchor with that. Take that with you today, because I want to be very, very clear. Self-doubt will 100% show up again. And this is not because you're failing. It's not because you're not doing the inner work. It's not because the work isn't working. It's literally because you're having a human experience, right? And I honestly, as you would know, I live and breathe this work. I teach it, I embody it, I fucking love it. And I still have moments where my mind, my fear, my self-doubt tries to grab the wheel. The difference now, though, the difference for me is I don't fucking let it drive. When doubts show up, I don't spiral. I don't overthink. I don't ask 100 people what they think. I anchor into a new truth. So it's like, instead of asking like, what should I do? Or what if I'm wrong? Or what if I mess up? I shift the energy completely first. And then I ask, if I trusted myself, what would feel most true right now? And then I pause, right? I don't rush the answer. I don't force clarity. I don't pressurize myself to know everything. I just fucking let it land when it's meant to land. If it's quiet, if it's simple, if it's not what my ego wanted to hear, whatever. Because that's how you're going to start to loosen the grip of the mind, right? That's how you're going to stop spinning in these fucking circles. That's how you come home to yourself. Self-trust isn't loud and it doesn't need to yell or rush you. It can be very steady and grounded, and it's already there. It's just waiting for you to choose it. Okay? So today, we stop rehearsing this self-doubt loop. We stop entertaining this old identity that we didn't even realize we were running on. And we stop pretending we don't know. Ladies, we fucking know, okay? No more spinning your wheels in the self-doubt loop. No more outsourcing your power. And no more abandoning yourself at the moment of decision. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are just simply remembering. And that is going to be what changes everything. So that, my loves, is day 2. I want to integrate it. I want to let it settle. I want to let it work on you. Tomorrow, obviously, we're going even deeper. I'm pretty excited to talk about some self-worth, some self-concept, and safety and identities that you've probably been carrying around that you're finally ready to release. That was a lot. You know, I'm coming at you pretty hot this week. This is just how I go. These voice notes, you know, I plan to be on here for about 15. Looks like I hit you with another 25-minute one. I'm going to love and leave you ladies there. And yeah, let me know what resonated. Let me know what landed. Let me know if it made sense to you. It really just helps get the message out there. You know, I really appreciate the shares and appreciate you sharing what you're struggling with, because I can integrate that into our 8 days together. So I'm going to love and leave you there, and I'll catch you ladies tomorrow. Bye.